Hi, my name is Christina Wazak, and for much of my career, I've had the honor of working with people who were students at colleges in the City University of New York. Many of those students were leaders on campus, and they graduated and they went on to other things, whether it be more education, starting businesses, starting families, etc., etc. Now I'm excited to share these stories with you, but I'm not going to tell the stories. They're going to tell their own stories because the students have become the teachers. I'm excited to bring them to you as they share memories of their leadership experiences on campus, update us on what they've been doing since they graduated, and of course, we will talk about leadership development. So let's get to it. So today we have some magnetic energy, some electrifying. I love this person's energy. So I'm bringing to you the one and only Tatiana Lafleur.
Yes. Oh,
Hi.
hi. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Come on.
So, for those who don't know, let's go into a little bit about who you are. So, or a little bit, at least the where you know what you were involved with. So, where did you go to school, and what degrees did you get?
So I am a BC woman, a Brooklyn College woman. I went to Brooklyn College for my bachelor's degree as well as my master's degree. So I started Brooklyn College for my bachelor's degree in 2011. I pursued a degree in psychology and I graduated in 2015. And I started my graduate school journey in 2016 and I pursued a degree in industrial and organizational psychology, which is also the same degree that Christina has. Go figure, she is my mentor, right? She's my mentor. So I pursued a degree in industrial and organizational psychology, and I graduated with my master's in 2018. So here I am now.
Awesome. So, during that time, did you get involved in anything on campus? Did you happen to do that?
What wasn't I involved in? In my undergraduate tenure, I was involved in just about every single club you can think of. I was involved in the Haitian American Student Association, the Caribbean Student Association. I was the vice president of the Academic Club Association, which was also a part of student government. Um, I was also the founder of the Brooklyn College Supreme Steppers. I love stepping so much. I have much of an affinity for it ever since high school. And so when I noticed that we didn't have a team, I took it upon myself with the help of my mentor here to start a step team. So yes, about just about everything. And as a graduate student, I kind of scaled back a little bit on my involvement in the student activities only because I was working full time at the time and going to school full time. But while I was in grad school, I was a part of the Graduate Industrial Organizational Psychology organization.
Wow, that's a great major.
Thank you, right?
So, so you mentioned being the founder of the STEP team. So, were you in any other leadership roles in any of those organizations that you mentioned?
Yeah, so a part of Academic Club Association, I was the vice president of that. I was the president of the Supreme Steppers. And as far as the Caribbean Student Association and the Haitian American Student Association, I was just members of those throughout my 4 years at Brooklyn College. I didn't want to like take on too many leadership roles. I mean, at some point I was the secretary of the Brooklyn College Entertainment Committee too, but yeah, you remember that, right?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot, and this beautiful person that you see here was like, you know what, Tati, you're doing a lot. You're doing too much. When do you have time for your schoolwork? Which was something that I learned. I needed to pace myself because you also don't want to like take on more than you can handle or spread yourself too thin. So that was helpful.
Well, so what are you up to now? What have you been doing since you graduated? What have you been up to?
Still taking on more than I can handle. Nothing has really changed.
We have to
So
talk. I said, do we have to talk?
I mean, I guess because of where I am right now, it seems like a lot, but I think over time things will sort of automate themselves and follow through. But right now, I'm currently the assistant director for student and recent alumni programs at New York University. I recently got that job in November, so I'm still sort of I'm probably in like the end stages of the transition now. I feel comfortable in my role and I understand what to do. I am also a co-owner of an event venue located in Flatbush, Brooklyn, New York, called Mystique Event Space. So I co-own the venue with my beloved sister, who I love oh so much, and she's now my business partner. Another layer of relationship that we have to maneuver through.
Oh, so that's what that background is.
Yes, this right here is New York University, Washington Square Park. It's kind of like our quad because, you know, New York University, the campus is literally New York City. But if we're going to have events, we'll probably have them at Washington Square Park.
That's a great place to have events. But quads can be nice too. So, all right. So, all that involvement, what was your favorite part of being involved on campus?
My favorite part of being involved on campus, speaking now, are the lifelong relationships that I formed. All of the groups that I was a part of, I'm friends with all of them now, and it's been nothing short of a pleasure to literally watch everyone grow and go through their life and come into their own as a person. And speaking of those relationships don't only include like my friends, they include also the people who played a major role in the trajectory of my academic tenure. In terms of administrators who helped guide me along the way when I was feeling lost. I'm still very close with them, or I check in with some of them here and there, or they check in on me. So it's definitely a benefit to have that support, especially now that we're not in the same space. It's good to get a calm reminder like, hey, yeah, you went to Brooklyn College. I remember when you were a student. I'm checking in on you. How are you doing? So that has been the most important thing for me and the best part about being involved. When you're involved, you don't necessarily think about it, but after you graduate, you've noticed how important having those connections really are.
So, those people, thinking about them, the ones who guided you or supported you, or even if it was any kind of job you had, is there a trait that you appreciated in a leader or a supervisor, and why did you appreciate it?
I would say the trait I appreciated the most in a leader or supervisor is it's several traits, honestly. The first one is being able to, of course, delegate, but not only delegate, but explain why I'm doing certain tasks because it helped me understand the full picture. It helped me understand exactly what I was contributing. And another trait that I appreciated from a past supervisor or a mentor is someone who actually takes interest in you personally. It's not only about your job, it's about what are your goals and how can I help you achieve those goals. Sometimes, as a supervisor, it can be very easy to really focus on the task at hand and just be task oriented. But some people, it doesn't work that well for them. Some people, they appreciate someone who actually takes a general interest in who they are as a person. It actually helps them perform better at their job.
I get that. I get it. So, talking about traits, what traits do you think are important for leaders to have in 2020?
2020, we had a year, okay? I'm gonna go to my experience working at New York University. So now imagine I started a new job in December, and March we went into quarantine. So it's like, okay, we have to work from home. So just relying on that experience, I see that some important traits that are very important for leaders to have is flexibility because we literally all experienced a shift in our normal and had to adjust to what is a new normal. And if you don't have that trait, it could be very, very, very hard to make that transition. So I would say keeping it current, that is a very important trait to have. And I would think the second one for me is openness. It's being open not only to different people, but being open to different ideas. Because it's like, yeah, you can form an idea and yes, you can work on it. But if you're not open to receiving feedback or constructive criticism, then the idea might not necessarily grow. It's only limited to you. So just being able to, or being unafraid to seek feedback and seek other perspectives just to make your idea better.
That's not always easy, getting feedback, right? Constructive criticism, or you have to see. I would also like to point out that you are saying these things as someone who studied industrial and organizational psychology. So what I do with every interview, for people who don't know, is I provide about like 10 questions that people can, so whoever's being interviewed, they can choose those questions, three of them out of the like 10 or so. So when I saw what you chose, it was like, all right, the campus involvement one, but then it was like leadership traits in 2020. And I was like, okay. I'm like, we're definitely going to talk about leadership.
I mean, I don't know. It's just so crazy because even like when I went to school for, even when I went to grad school for industrial and organizational psychology, I was just like, okay, I know I want to stay in higher education. I might want to go into consulting, but then I went into this major, into this program, not knowing that I would eventually be a co-owner of a business, but it's just so interesting how literally every single thing I've learned applied to this process here. Everything, working with different people, being open to constructive criticism, being able to handle no, someone telling you no, you can't do that. What? And just overall building relationships and noticing dynamics and understanding how to maneuver in certain situations, that's literally all industrial organizational psychology. So I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to stray from it because I feel like now more than before, I'm taking every lesson I've learned and I'm applying it to reality.
So you mentioned that business you had. So if people want to learn more about it, how about we share the contact information?
Yes, we are going to share some contact information. So, as I mentioned before, I am the co owner of an event venue located at 1605 Nostrand Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11226. It is called Mystique Event Space. It is a family owned business. It is a venture that I decided to take with my sister. I would call it a spontaneous venture because we were not anticipating opening it right now, but when things align, that means it's for you. So we have Mystique Event Space, which we're open to all types of events, birthday parties, bridal showers, gender reveals, baby showers, networking events, media productions, as in video and film shoots. If you want to record a podcast, you can also do it at the space. You can find us on Instagram at Mystique_event space. And if you have any questions or you would like to submit an inquiry, you can contact us at events@mystiqueeventspace.com. I'll be the one to be responding to inquiries via email. And if you reach out to us via Instagram, that will be my sister. So, yes, book your events, add the Mystique effect to your next event. That's our tagline.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. When when did you actually open?
Okay,
And
so
please,
we actually
yeah.
opened. Yeah, I'll share the story. So we signed our lease in at the end of February. It's crazy. We signed our lease at the end of February. Imagine that. And then you go into quarantine around March 12th. So now we're like, oh, was this a bad investment for right now? Luckily, we had to make renovations to the space, and our contractor, he was working pretty much by himself. So he was nice enough to continue working and making the renovations throughout the time that we were actually on lockdown. And so we were slated to open in April. We were prepared to open in April, but of course that did not happen. So fast forward, we ended up opening officially on, I think that was June 30th. That's when we had our first event. And for the safety of our clients, we have an indoor and outdoor space. So we mostly hold events outdoors. So that's what we really focus on. That's what we do right now to ensure the safety of our clients, because we do not want to aid in the spread of any COVID-19. So we have mainly outdoor events. And so we opened on June 30th, and ever since then, it's been a nonstop motion. It's just like the momentum picked up, and we were not expecting it to pick up so quickly, especially with what's going on, but it just did, and it hasn't stopped since then. And we're super grateful. I'm beyond grateful that it has happened this way.
Yeah, so I was thinking that. I was thinking like, all right, so I know it was at some point in the summer, but like early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you've been busy.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. To you and to your co-owner, your sister, who's awesome as well. So, and I want to thank you for taking time to to do this interview with me, and to catch up a little bit on your time in college, and also just sharing your insights about about leadership, and just sharing a little bit about who you are, because it's like to know you is to love you, so it's like to have you here, and people are going to watch this, they're going to listen, hear things that you said. I appreciate it. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me. When you reached out, I was like, of course. What do you mean? Listen, y'all. You see Christina here. She's my mentor. She has played such a major role in the trajectory of my life, basically. Because imagine that. I went to school for industrial and organizational psychology. Christina, what did you go to school for?
Well, yeah. But undergrad, I was television and radio.
Yeah. Yes.
But I do remember the conversation with you about like, so what are you thinking of doing with psychology? Because, you're really good. It's like the conversation that someone had with me. He was the director of the student center, Joe Benedict, that years ago. But I was like, nah, I know what I'm doing. But you, it was like, oh. And then look what happened. You did but you were, see, because you were studying psychology, it was like the IO psychology was a good next step. And you even were talking about research and things that you wanted to do. Like you really got into it.
Yeah, I ended up doing a thesis. I did, and I was like, oh my gosh, why did I sign up for that? In the process, I was like, what possessed me to do this? But after it was all said and done, I was like, okay, great. Let's get that out the way. We got it out the way. Amazing. I'm never doing that again.
No, never.
I can't say never. It's a lie, because I'm actually considering going back to school since I'm working at NYU now. So I'm like, oh, I might as well see what I'm interested in. So I'm considering going back for a second master's. And the goal for this master's is to literally, like my other masters, is to basically inform the trajectory of my life. So I want to go into like real estate marketing and economics. So I'm thinking of going down that realm and maybe creating a program that is suited for me. Yeah, you can do that. I'm so excited.
I was like, what? Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel it's one of the things that I appreciate is like you are willing to try new things out. You're willing to take certain risks, I guess I would call them. And just be, like you said earlier, like be open to different ideas. So I think so it was a little, I was gonna say it was a little easier, but like when I said IO psychology, it was like, oh, but it also made sense. And what you just said as far as like a second master's, like that, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm like, I was just talking to my friend, like, when am I gonna apply for school? I'm like, I need to do it because I actually want to. And
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to like work full time and go to school again, but I know it'll be worth it in the end. So I'm excited about it.
And if I recall, when you were in grad school, I think we were talking about like, okay, like you continuing education at some point.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something like I'm not surprised. Like, I feel like that was something that you weren't exactly sure, like, if, you want to go to this program or this school, but it's, you like to learn, right? So
Yeah, I'm definitely a lifelong student. I feel at home in the classroom, even though sometimes I might be writing a paper like, oh my gosh, who told me to sign up for school again? Like, but at the end of the day, my happy place is actually a classroom. It's weird to say, but it actually is, so I'm definitely going to pursue another.
yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I said, like, we would be sitting in my office having conversations about research and different topics. We go off on tangents, and so I'm not surprised. And yeah, that's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So all right. So for everyone who's watching, I'm sure you learned something. And if it was just about who this awesome person is, then that is a great thing to have learned. Um, I will be back with someone else that you can learn from, somebody that I worked with as a student leader at some point in my career. And I'm looking forward to you joining us once again. Everyone have a great night or a great day, depending on when you're watching this.
Yes.
Great afternoon. Just be great.
Yeah, be great. Yes, I like
Right.
that. I like that.
Bye, everyone.